Hey y'all, I'm Tammy and this is Collard Valley Cooks. And today we're making my Blondie Brownies. The recipe is in our third cookbook and we ice it with a delicious frosting. And today I shaved a chocolate bar on top. Let's get started. All right, we're going to start with a 1/4 stick of room temperature butter. I'm using salted butter. And we're going to add a cup of sugar and then a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. So there's the sugar and a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. So you got a cup of sugar and a 1/2 cup of packed brown sugar. Now we're going to put in our vanilla and 2 eggs. And I'm going to mix this together till it's nice and fluffy. Then we're going to add our flour, and that's all there is to it. The flour is 1 1/2 cups of self-rising white lily flour. Now, self-rising flour, I don't have to go ahead and put in the baking powder and salt. If you do not have self-rising flour, you'll use all-purpose. And for a 1.5 cups of all-purpose, you would add 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder and about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt would work. And you're going to mix this until it's nice and combined, all that butter in there. This butter's at room temperature. I'm going to turn this up a little. So you want to mix it up pretty good. Now we're going to add our flour. Now, instead of doing it that way, you can always just blend your sugar with your butter. Get it nice and fluffy, then add your eggs. That's how you'd make a cake. But this is brownies, so it's not that big of a deal. All right? So we're going to add our flour. We're going to add 1 cup. And then a 1/2 cup. I can go ahead and add all my flour at one time because this is a great little mixer. It has a really low speed and it doesn't make things fly around, which is really nice. Chris was just saying, you love that little mixer, don't you? And I said, yes, I do. It's the best mixer I've ever had. Seriously. Look how low it goes. Isn't that amazing for a mixer? Y'all, most of these mixers have a low speed. Even my big mixer, my big Bosch mixer, as much as I love it, it does not have a low speed. It says it does, but it really don't. And the KitchenAid was always the same way, but this thing has a true low speed. That's a low speed. Now I'm gonna turn it up to medium, and we're gonna mix these up good. And you don't have to mix it 2 minutes like you would a cake. Just make sure everything's blended in there. Around the edges and the bottom. And then we're going to make a delicious icing. And I might use, whoops, I do that all the time. I'm so silly. And I might actually make my icing in the same little mixing bowl. I might clean it up and use it. So that's so fast and easy. And we're going to use a little brownie pan. So whatever size brownie pan you have, if it's a 9x9, a 7x11, either one of them works. This may even be an 8x8. I don't know, I'd have to measure it. But it's a brownie pan, okay? So we're using it. I'm gonna spray this with some non-stick spray. Chris has to be careful with the camera with this stuff or you'll get grease on the lens, right, Chris?
Yep, you gotta be careful.
Yep. All right. So we are going to get a spatula. My handy dandy little spatulas are nice too. All right. And get this in the pan. And it says batter will be sticky. These are Blondie Brownies. And when we make the icing, you have the option of putting in mini chocolate chips. I don't know if I have any, so if I do, I may just do that because Chris loves chocolate chips.
Oh yeah, I love them.
right, there it is. Easy peasy. Now it's going into the oven at 350 degrees. We'll see you in 35 minutes. No, actually, I'll see you before then because we're going to make some icing up. Alrighty, now we're going to start our icing. Super simple. It's a half cup of room temperature butter. I like salted butter in everything I make. So I'm using salted butter, the half stick of, I'm using the half stick of salted butter, and we're going to use some vanilla, a little bit of milk to make it creamy, and some powdered sugar. So what I'm going to start doing right now is I'm going to put in 1 cup of powdered sugar. It's going to be a total of 3 cups, but I'm just going to put in 1 cup to blend this butter in it right quick, and then after that we'll add the rest of it. I'm going to use my low setting. And even if this butter is at room temperature, our house is really cold. So you're going to need vanilla and a little bit of milk to make it creamy. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little vanilla. I never mess up a measuring spoon to do vanilla. Most of the time I don't. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of milk. You can add it a tablespoon at a time if you want to. Okay, you can see how creamy that is now. You're going to want to make it creamy before you start adding the rest of your powdered sugar. It is really thick already. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little extra milk. And then I'm going to add another cup of powdered sugar. It's going to be a total of 3 cups of powdered sugar. And you can add them one at a time and add the milk a little bit at a time just to make it easy. And you're going to start it on a low speed to keep it from getting powdered sugar everywhere. And then you're going to turn it up. And you're going to want it spreadable. So you can take a spatula and check and see how creamy it is. And it's really thick right now. We'll go ahead and add another little bit of milk and another cup of powdered sugar. And that's all there is to it, y'all. And I can already tell I need more milk, because these are brownies and you don't want a thick icing. We're not decorating with this icing. We're just icing brownies. And let me just say this, when you're making icing, the longer you whip it, it's a very nice spreading consistency right now. And the longer you whip it, more air is going to get in there and it's going to be more whipped and fluffy, which is the way I like it, okay? So you're going to want to turn up your mixer to the high setting and whip it for a couple of minutes. And for those of y'all that don't know it and haven't been watching that long, I actually grew up with a mom that catered weddings and made birthday cakes and wedding cakes. And she also catered all of the food and even the rehearsal dinners. She was an amazing cook, and that's where I get my skills from. We worked at a bakery in Cartersville, Georgia called Egan's Bakery. And I got a lot of my baking skills and icing and decorating skills from working at that bakery. So I have an advantage that my mother was in that, and I actually did what my mama did growing up, and that way I could work at a Kroger bakery while I was in college, and it just worked out great, y'all. And I was able to have a skill. And so I'm thankful that my mother did that, and I learned this skill that is so fluffy and it's gonna be delicious. Okay, it's done. And they're very pretty. We're gonna sit them right here and let them cool off before we ice them with our delicious icing. We've got a candy bar that I'm probably going to chop up for the top or use, you know, shave it. We'll decide. Anyway, we're going to sprinkle some chocolate on the top. All right, these are brownies that are really chewy. I use the recipe that I make my peanut butter bars with when I made this recipe. Now, and we're going to ice them. Now, I'm going to flip them back upside down to ice because they are sunken in the middle, and that's just how they do. That's how my peanut butter bars do. And they're chewy and they're delicious, okay? So we're going to take the icing that we made, and we're going to ice the top, and it's up to you how much you want to use. But I'm not going to put a whole lot on them because they're already pretty sweet, okay? And my favorite's always the edges. And really, my peanut butter bars are like chewy brownies, aren't they, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
So I just used my peanut butter bar recipe when I made this recipe. So this is my own recipe. I didn't get it out of a book or anything. It's just something I put together because my peanut butter bars are so good. It's kind of like a gooey butter cake in a way. All right, I'm going to shave just a little bit of chocolate on the top. This is optional. Of course, I did not have any mini chocolate chips, or we would have just put them in it. But I didn't have any. But I got a candy bar. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my candy bar. I got it at Aldi. And I'm just going to grate some of it on the top. And it's not dark chocolate. It's milk chocolate with almond. It's that time of year, y'all, to get your Valentine candy. And they have really affordable, chocolate there. So it's good to get it before it sells out because it's seasonal. This had almonds in it. It's all I had, y'all. I'm making do with what I got. That's what you're supposed to do, and that's what Mama always did. No reason to run to the store to get mini chocolate chips when you can use something you already got at the house. Okay, I'm going to slice them with my cutter. I'm going to go right down the middle. And then right in half. And then we're going to go the same way this direction. Half. Half. And half. And you can see how chewy they are. They're just wanting to go together. Now you can tell how the batter looks. It's a real dense, almost like a gooey texture. All right? And I'm going to take a bite. They're very gooey and very sweet. You could eat them easily without the icing, okay? But they're really delicious and they're good and sugary. So these are definitely not cake-like, okay? If you want them to be cake-like, you would have to add more flour to it. These are more chewy and gooey, all right? Just letting you know that up front. But they're absolutely delicious. The family's going to love them. Your friends will love them. We'll see you next time on Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like our mamas did. Bye, I love ya.
Cooking time, it's over now. Tammy, she just showed you